Hi, please stand by. I'll be right back. I'm here, folks. Give me 1 sec. We'll get going. Just gotta get some water. In the meantime, enjoy. Oh, hang on. New setup today. Apologize, folks. Thank you. All right. There we go. How's that? How we doing there, folks? All right, we good? I'll be right back, and then we'll start. I'm back. Hey, everybody. What's going on? Welcome into the Fantasy Lunch. Welcome in for the first time, if it's your first time ever. If it's the first time of this year, hello as well. Let's get some of your questions in. So you saw the board today. We're going to talk about Antonio Brown's frozen feet. Shout out to Chris Sims for breaking that story. My old friend. Used to work with me at Bleacher Report. I guess he put it out there. Everybody was like, come on. And then it came out that that is actually the case. So there you go with Antonio Brown. Frozen feet. I don't think that's that big of a deal. Full disclosure, I did not see Hard Knocks yet. So I know they talked about that a little bit last night. And, well, I guess, whatever. Not much to that just yet. Thank you, David. Appreciate it. All right, so if you have questions, let's get them in. We're going to talk about, if you didn't see Twitch last night, I am on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheMattCamp. Twitch will probably be more of a nighttime thing, and then we could do Instagram during the day. So I'm giving everybody options. I also think because of the platform, and if you were on Twitch last night, here, by the way, follow this if you haven't. And by the way, you do not need to play video games to be on Twitch or say that it's only video games. I know people are like, well, what do we do on there? We can do a lot of things. And because of the platform, I can do more stuff with graphics. And if there's going to be a waiver wire weekly, it may happen on there because there's a lot more I can do with it with the open broadcasting software. I can put stuff up. If you didn't see last night, it's up on all my social media. It is up on Twitter and Facebook, and on Twitch. You can go back and watch that show, kind of explain where everything stands right now with everything that's going on. And I actually took you inside my rankings, and I was able to put them up on the board, show you my projections as they stand right now. So it's kind of a good way to interact and do a little bit more with graphics. This is very simple. This is me talking to you guys right here. It still looks crooked to me. I don't know. Anyway, so we're going to talk about Antonio Brown with the feet. No, you don't have to pay. Oh, yeah, other thing. You don't have to pay for Twitch. As of right now, I'm not doing anything monetarily with Twitch. That may change. I don't know. I don't think it will. But you can literally just come on and watch my show. You can come on and watch. You can interact. We'll do questions. What I'd like to do, because I'd like to interact with you guys as much as possible, I would like to do drafts mock drafts, best ball drafts on Twitch with you guys. So you're involved in the draft. We'll put the board up on the screen so we can talk about it as it happens. If you're interested in such a thing, please let me know. Put some hearts out there, and we'll set one of those up maybe by the end of this week, if not next week. Mock drafts, we'll do different kinds of drafts. For those of you that are in different leagues, we'll try to get, if it's 10 or 12 or 14 of us, I'll draft with you. We'll do best ball drafts. We'll do mock drafts. It's better to do it on Twitch because I can put the board up as opposed to here where we just kind of have this thing. So if you guys are interested in that, here's what I'd ask you to do. Follow me on Twitch. You'd probably need an account. If you want to comment during the Twitch broadcast, you just got to create an account. It's very easy. You don't have to have a channel or anything like that. So what I'd like to do is just follow me on there because the more followers I get, I can then do more streams and have affiliate stuff and all that. So once again, another way to interact with all of you guys. Let me make sure this is up on Twitter because I don't think I did that just yet. All right, so just putting this up on Twitter. All right. Anyway, you don't have to do that now. So that's something I want to do on there. Let's get your questions. And I saw a bunch of them. Let me get back to them. I want to make sure you get it covered. Keeks, I saw you had one. Put them back in if you did. How do you feel about Cooper Kupp in terms of risk and upsides from AI Gruber? I'm a big Cooper Kupp guy. I thought that he could be someone last year that would have won you a league, and we'll get into some league winners. I put him right back in this conversation for this season. There's no doubt about that. Here's why. There's a couple reasons. First of all, it sounds like he's good to go. And I feel like people are kind of, or I've seen people overlook him a little bit. I think there's an understanding that Robert Woods is probably the safest of the group there with the Los Angeles Rams, and I don't think anybody's going to, knock that idea. But as I look at ADP here, I'm going to pull up PPR ADP. So we have Cooks right now is wide receiver 16, 40.8. Robert Woods is wide receiver 18, 41.8, and Cooper Kupp is wide receiver 20, 48.6. So that's three top 20 running backs all in a row. That's top 20 wide receivers on the same team. Can that happen? I believe it can happen, and I have them ranked accordingly, especially with the issue with Todd Gurley, where it's just up in the air right now. We're very early in the month, but as I said last night on Twitch, there's not a lot of concrete positive information on Todd Gurley. What do we know? He didn't play much in the Super Bowl. They matched the offer sheet that Malcolm Brown got from the Detroit Lions. They got a very explosive back in Darrell Henderson in the third round of the NFL draft. None of these things are endorsements of Todd Gurley. Now, as I said last night, and I'll continue to say it until I get otherwise word or hint, that I think Todd Gurley could be on a very a Kawhi Leonard-like load management kind of deal, at least early in the season. I think the Rams are certainly good enough to say, hey, maybe he's only getting 15 touches a game. We'll use Henderson, we'll use Brown. And, oh, by the way, we have Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks. We have a good quarterback, and we have a hell of an offensive mind in Sean McVay. We can survive without overworking Todd Gurley. Now, hey, if they open the season 1-4, maybe that plan changes. But I have Todd Gurley as my RB14 in PPR. Todd Gurley is currently going at RB8, 13.8. I think that's too strong. That's right at the top of the second round. I don't think you need to take that kind of risk because there's plenty of really good players you can take instead of him. I would rather wait. And I don't have him on any team. It just hasn't happened yet. So back to the Cooper Kupp thing. I have Cooper Kupp. Here we go. Here's my wide receiver PPR rankings. 16, Woods. 17, Cooks. 18, Kupp. By the way, as I said, ADP right now is 16 Cooks, 16 Woods, 16 Cooks, 18 Woods, and 20 Kupp. So my ranking is not necessarily aggressive versus where their ADPs are. I love Cooper Kupp. I thought Jared Goff really missed Cooper Kupp. I thought that offense missed Cooper Kupp. And while it's a deep receiving core and arguably the best 1 through 3 in the league when they're all out there together. Once again, as a whole, I'm not saying any one of those guys is one of the best receivers in the league, but as a whole, 1, 2, 3, you're not going to do much better than Woods, Cooks, and Kupp. So I'm in on Cooper Kupp. I would be happy to get him. Let's see. What did I say that ADP was? 48.6, wide receiver 20. Be thrilled to pay that price. No problem with it at all. I moved the books. Yes, we did more of a solid background today. JP Reyes, I'm in a keeper league, 2 max keepers between Hilton, Ingram, Aaron Jones, and Chris Godwin. I'm in on Hilton all the way. I don't think the luck thing is too big of a deal. I'm in on the Colts all the way. I love Devin Funchess as a late wide receiver to get in the double-digit rounds. I think he's got top 30 potential. I do believe Eric Ebron, while solid and still a top 10 tight end, I think he'll see a touchdown regression, but I don't say that in a bad way. So I'd like Hilton there. I'd probably go Aaron Jones as the second one. If you have any trepidation about the running back situation in Green Bay and you're not totally sure, and his injury history is something to consider, I get it. Aaron Jones is my RB17, an ADP right now in PPR of, let's give you the updated number. Aaron Jones right now is RB16, 32.8. So right about where his ADP. I don't think I have a lot of ridiculously off-the-rail rankings from what I've seen, at least in terms of the high-end guys. And I don't know how much of that's really going to change. The Gordon situation and the Zeke situation, we deal with that as we deal with that. If you want to keep Jones, I have Jones with more points than Chris Godwin. That's why I would say that. So I would go Jones and Hilton. You guys seem to be in the mock drafts. Good to see that. Let's see. Predictions for Mitch Trubisky here from Mitch. From Nick. I got him at 13. Mitch Trubisky is QB 20. He's 148.8 in terms of his ADP right now. And I'll say this. I have Mitch Trubisky at 13. And once again, if you saw this on Twitch last night, I was able to show you these numbers. I have Mitch Trubisky at 13. The difference between Mitch Trubisky at 13 and Lamar Jackson at 19 is like 10 points. That's nothing. It's less than a point a game. The difference between Mitch Trubisky at 13 and Tom Brady at 18 is 6 points. So that's a tier there. I think Trubisky's probably top of the quarterback 2 tier. I have a difference of 7 points between Murray and Trubisky. But that's back-to-back. That's 12-13. Kyler Murray. Josh Allen, I have at 22. And once again, I don't think that's a bad play. The legs carried him last year. He had 5 top 5 performances last year. There's a lot of variance, though, in Josh Allen. That's what concerns me about him. I like him. I think he'll be better with John Brown there. I still worry about his completion percentage. I worry about how accurate he is. It's not the worst situation. I don't love the backfield situation. I don't think that helps him. I think that puts a little bit too much on him. So those are the concerns with him. I don't think those are going to go away. I don't think he's anything special. As I look, like I said, so I track these. Another stat I put up last night. I can show this stuff on Twitch a lot easier. But I track where guys finish each and every week to get a feeling to say, okay, Josh Allen had 5 top 5 finishes. Well, his 5 top 10 finishes were also his 5 top 5s, and he had 6 top 15s. So he had, of his 6 top 15 finishes, 5 were in the top 5, which tells you that he could be real good or terrible. Now, if you start from after their Week 11 bye, he finished 3rd, 2nd, 14th, 4th, 22nd, and 1st. That's a great finish. Now, Week 16, he cost you a championship, but if you streamed Josh Allen for about a month there and stuck with him because of his legs, look for legs when you're in doubt, that guy got you to a fantasy championship. He got you into the fantasy playoffs. He was a fantasy playoff quarterback for people last year. Josh Allen's 5 top 5 finishes, more than Cam Newton. I know Cam missed time. I understand that. More than Dak Prescott. More than Aaron Rodgers. More than Deshaun Watson. So the ceiling can be high. The floor is obviously lower when I bring up the fact that, he only had 6 top 15s. Well, Cam had 11. Rodgers had 11. Rodgers had 6 top 10 finishes. Deshaun Watson had 10 top 10 finishes. Luck had 11 top 10 finishes. So on a bad week, they were still a reliable quarterback. You couldn't feel that way about Allen. So I like him as a second quarterback in 2 quarterback leagues. I think there's some value there. I love grabbing him as a second quarterback in best ball leagues. All right, let's get some more questions. Good questions here so far, all over the place, which I like. So much value with Zeke's issue. Who is handcuff Pollard? It's his handcuff Pollard, I think, is what you're asking there, Borny. I don't know if there's a direct answer there. I think they bring in Alfred Morris because he knows the offense. There's a little more trust there. If you want to grab Tony Pollard right now, I don't think you have to do it. If you have Zeke and you want to protect yourself, sure. I still think Zeke's on the field. If you have to ask me who's on the field week 1, if I have to pick, I'm saying Zeke over Melvin Gordon. I think Dallas needs Zeke more. Is Thielen worth keeping $28 in an auction keeper? Yeah, I think he is. I absolutely think he is. And we did our auction for the flex drafts on SiriusXM the other day. And, yeah, it wasn't, he went for, I think, 35. So even if he was going at value, I would say to keep him. You're getting him for cheaper. I think it's worth it. When in doubt with auctions, you can always throw a guy back. Because if you want him that much, you can always go pay and go get him. That's the nice thing you can say about him. Thoughts on Marlin Mack? Good question, because I like Marlin Mack. I like the Colts offense. I like his situation. But I will say this about Mack. What I'm concerned about is his role in the passing game, and that's going to limit his ceiling. Now, his ceiling might be higher than players on bad teams, but you got to think about this. In Marlon Mack last year did handle about 48% of the carry share in 12 games. That's a strong number. He had 26 targets for the entire season. Not a 26% target share. He had 26 targets for the entire season. Naheem Hines had 12.8 of the target share. Naheem Hines is your pass-catching back for the Indianapolis Colts. They have Funches. They have Paris Campbell. You have Doyle coming back. You still have Eric Ebron. Obviously, you have T.Y. Hilton. I don't think they need Marlon Mack to be that busy in the passing game. So that's going to limit his upside, specifically in PPR formats or half-point PPR formats. I have him at RB22. I know people might think that's crazy. I have him for 8 touchdowns. I have him for over 1,000 yards. I have him for over 230 carries. But I have him for 23 catches. That's a problem for Mack. That's what's going to limit his upside. If you want to take him, he's a solid RB2. There's no problem. I have him right in the mix with Josh Jacobs and Mark Ingram and Chris Carson, who I think people are maybe starting to come around on, because it's his job still in Seattle, and they're going to run the hell out of the football there. I have him in there with Fournette, Mack, right there at Derrick Henry. It's not being down on him. It's just saying that some of these other guys have higher ceilings because they're going to catch passes. I think he's in a good situation. If you think he's going to score more than 8 touchdowns, then you move him up in the world. And that could very well be the case. There's just a lot of mouths to feed in Indy. And if he's not going to be catching a lot of passes, and he didn't last year, and they don't need to overwork him, and by the way, he did miss time, then that's going to limit his upside. I would say he's got more value in non-PPR formats. Aaron, what's going on with Zeke? They're saying he may not play up to 4. So there's a lot of stuff here on Zeke. Here's the nice thing. It's August 7th. Zeke's not on the field. Doesn't have to take the field for a month. I think they're going to get a deal done. Whether they overpay him or whatever you want to say, I think they get a deal done because I think they know they have to get a deal done. I do believe that if he doesn't get a new contract, he would sit out. Is it up to 4 games? I don't know if I'd go that far. Maybe. Le'Veon Bell, changed the way we have to think about these things, because I just assume Le'Veon Bell would be back. I get why these guys are holding out. I totally understand it. I don't knock them for it. Go get paid, because they don't want to pay these guys and they want to work them and find the next guy. I don't think that makes a lot of sense, and this is probably something that's got to get figured out. This is not a fantasy conversation per se. What I would say is that I still have Zeke in my top 5. I have him at number 4 because I still have confidence that he is going to be on the field week 1. But we need to see where things go with this. It's definitely something to keep an eye on. Once again, I do believe he wouldn't be out there to open the season if he doesn't have a new contract. Yes, I do believe that could be the case. Thoughts on quarterback, running back stats? I like Matt Ryan and Freeman separately. Unsure about them together. The stack is, if you're investing in a good team. So what would be some stacks I would look at? Russell Wilson and Chris Carson. McCaffrey and Cam Newton. How important are these guys to your team? Zeke and Dak Prescott. Obviously, we just talked about that. Kamara and Drew Brees. David Johnson and Kyler Murray. Nick Chubb and Baker Mayfield. If you're going to stack, you're just investing in guys that are important and hopefully offenses that are going to produce. Freeman and Ryan. I mean, I have Ryan behind Carson Wentz, and I'm kind of ranking a little bit on ceiling there for Wentz. They're very close. I mean, I have Baker, Wentz, and Ryan within like 3 points of each other. That's the next tier. It's Mahomes alone, Luck, Watson, a little step down to Rodgers, then 5 through 7s, Mayfield, Wentz, and Ryan. They're all kind of grouped together. And then we get into like Breeze, Newton, Goff, Wilson, and Murray. That's the next tier. And all of those guys that's the top 12. They're all QB1s. I don't feel like stacks are necessary, but I get it. If you want to invest in a good team, sure. Should I keep Chubb as a second-round keeper in 12-team PPR? MC Castle. Yeah, I have no problem with that. All I'm saying is, and I've heard different opinions on this. I taped a show yesterday for Stadium that'll be out on Monday, and we were talking about Chubb a little bit, and we're talking to Michael Beller about this, who I did a draft with over the weekend, writes The Athletic and does some hosting stuff there. And he said, people that are worried about Kareem Hunt, that's week 10 because it's 8-week suspension, the bye week, week 10. That is a long time down the road. I would also say think how much changed last year from, the start of the season to week 10. The running backs that got in there for injury, for performance, for whatever reason. That's a long way down the road. Now, I would also say that, if they're working Nick Chubb and they're working him hard, you got a talented player like Kareem Hunt who's ready for week 10, you work him in. Why wouldn't you? Does he cut into Nick Chubb? Probably a little bit, Do they say, well, we don't have to have Nick Chubb throw the ball that much? Now, I got told this the other day by my friend Connor Rogers from Bleacher Report that when he talked to Chubb, Chubb's kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to catch the ball that much, and I'm cool with that. And I went, that does make a lot of sense. You add Beckham. You obviously have Landry and Callaway and David Njoku there. You still have Duke Johnson. We'll see if that changes. But is Chubb in a similar situation to Marlin Mack? Really good team, a lot of options around him, good offense. Could he score double-digit touchdowns? Sure. Do they need to overwork him? And by that I mean, do they maybe not need to give him that much in terms of the passing game? Maybe they don't. And maybe that's somewhere that when Kareem Hunt is ready that they can work him in. It is nice insurance to have. I would definitely say that. Hold on, get a notification. So Chubb's fine. Have him as RB11. Be careful on asking for a lot of catches from him. Good question, MC Castle. JTE asked about the Zeke situation. Someone was in there last night. Might have been you. I don't think so. But we were talking about this on Twitch last night. Someone was about to start a best ball, and they picked at 7. And they said, if Zeke fell to 7, would you take him? I said, yeah, it's a best ball. And for those of you that have not done best ball leagues, highly recommended because it's draft and you're done. I do them on Play Draft a lot. You can do them on Best Ball 10s or RT Sports or whatever. You literally just draft 18 rounds, maybe more, and you're done. I do them on Play Draft. We'll probably do them on Twitch that way. 18 rounds, 30-second clock. You draft 18 rounds. There's no kicker. There's no defense, at least on Play Draft. And then that's it. It just takes your best starting lineup every single week automatically. So you shoot a little higher in those, and you can survive taking Zeke. And if he misses a game or two, who cares? Because it's automatically going to take your best players anyway. So if you draft 6 or 7 running backs, it'll find your best scores to fit into a starting lineup there. We're going to do some of those. So, yeah, just in best ball, like I said to that person last night, if he falls to 7, I'll eat him up at 7, no doubt about it. Keep Odell's a first-round keeper in a 10-team non-PPR. MLBP, Zeke, Beckham was the number 1 receiver in one of our drafts and was the highest price in an auction in one of the drafts we did over the weekend, the Flex League drafts. I put that up on Twitter. You can see the draft board. Super Flex League with 2 quarterbacks, traditional half-point PPR, snake draft, and then an auction draft. Beckham went for $50 as the highest receiver. He also was picked first in one of those. I don't have an issue with that at all. I do believe his ceiling is that high in this offense. It's higher than it was at least the last couple of years of the Giants, and we saw what he did. I mean, Beckham last year, knowing that he missed what he missed down the stretch, but Beckham last season still finished with 8 top 15 finishes. I mean, that's a pretty good amount of consistency considering he missed the last 4 games of the season. So he was a top 15 receiver in 8 of his 12 games. He was a top 10 receiver in 4 of his 12 games and 2 times in the top 5. And I think the ceiling's even higher with the Cleveland Browns. So I'm okay keeping him if you want to say, I also say this, MLB, where are you picking? Are you picking number 1 overall? I'm not using my first round pick on Beckham if I'm number 1 overall. That's part of the conversation as well. Van, I'm in a partial keeper league, keep 4 guys each year. I'm definitely keeping Saquon and Hopkins, struggling to narrow down my last 2. I have Keenan Allen, George Kittle, and Kerryon. Wow. I'd probably go Kittle and Kerryon. Then you're covered at running back. You have a strong wide receiver 2-ish type player in George Kittle. I mean, you're not going to go wrong. If you want to just say, I'll keep Keenan Allen and George Kittle and not deal with the Lions and a second-year player who got hurt last year, I'm okay with that too. If you want to say, I already have Saquon, so I have a 1+ player, I don't need to keep a second running back that high, fine. Go with 2 guys at wide receiver that I have inside my top 11. Hopkins, number 1. Allen at number 11. I have George Kittle as my number 2 tight end. I have Kerryon Johnson as my RB13. I would tell you this. Based on point total, Johnson is 5th. So if you want to throw him back, fine. I'm okay with that because you have Barkley. Who are you targeting late rounds, 14 through 18? I mean, that's late. That's total lottery pick territory. I mean, if we're talking best ball, maybe you're grabbing some running backs that might have a chance if the top guy in front of him went down. A Raquel Armstead for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a name to think about. Alex Madison from the Minnesota Vikings. That's a couple off the top of my head. Jamal Williams behind Aaron Jones in Green Bay. Still the top pass protector there. Not that I expect him to lose the job or anything, Aaron Jones, but just thinking, who could step in. Devin Singletary for Buffalo. Could be something like that. If things don't go well with McCoy or they move on from McCoy, I would look at guys like that. Did we lose you guys? I think I just lost my electricity, but I think the internet stayed. Couple names, yeah, I would throw those names out there. What draft position? Let me see. How far do you like Gordon slide if he isn't signed by the end of camp? That's... So in the PPR draft, the half-point snake draft. Oh, we're back. Okay, sorry guys. Had an internet flash there in my house. Let me go back to that question. How far do you like Gordon slide? So the draft we did the other day, we had Gordon drop into the 4th round in the Superflex draft, and he dropped to the 3rd round in the snake half-point PPR. He went for $30 at running back at auction. So he was into the RB2 range, if not later. I mean, if we're in the 3rd round, I'm taking him. I'd also like to know what the hell's going on. I would also say that as well. Where. Sorry, guys. I literally just had my internet flip on me, so we should be okay in a sec. Well, fantasy can't be back. I covered this last night a little bit on Twitch. The plan is yes. I'm not going to rush it. There's some behind-the-scenes stuff that's still being settled. This is a boring conversation to have. It's the business end of it. It's the worst. Once that is settled, then yes, that is the plan to bring fantasy camp back. I'm just not going to rush it back. I don't want to bring it back just to bring it back. But the There may be a new element to fantasy camp this year that I think will help things out. Hopefully you guys are there. You guys still there? I think we're good now. There we go. Okay. I might have missed a couple questions, so throw them back in. So, yeah, the plan is to bring it back, potentially a new element. I just don't want to rush it back. The plan is definitely to have it back before the end of the month. You're going to be playing games on your Twitch. Yes. So, I've done it in the past, and I've played, like, WWE game or Madden or I think, what else did I play? Oh, I played Rocket League on there. What I'm hoping to do, and I'd have to get a capture card for this, I want to play games on this. You can't see this, can you? This. I want to play games on this. I want to play games on my NES Classic. I want to play games on my SNES Classic. I'd much rather do that because I'm better at those games. That's the plan, is get a capture card eventually once we get things going with Twitch and all that. And then play on PlayStation, play on Xbox. I have an Xbox One. It's sitting right here. That also could be the case as well. I would like to play with you guys. We'll see what we can do with that. We'll see if that's a possibility. All right. Kelsey or Julio at 11 and 12. So I'm going to go Julio there. And I like Kelsey, believe me. But I just think Julio's got a higher upside. The talk of Kelsey being a first-round pick seems to have died down. I think it's okay that it's died down because of Hill coming back, but I have him ranked basically as my wide receiver 9, so still a top half of the second-round guy. David Montgomery worth taking the 5th round. I personally believe that David Montgomery's value is too high right now. David Montgomery is going off the board as RB24, 52.6. Now, that has dropped a little bit. But I don't have him that high. David Montgomery is my, in PPR, RB29. So it's not that far off. But I think there's too much being assumed by David Montgomery. You still have Tariq Cohen there. You still have Mike Davis there. The Bears, for as good as they were as a whole, could be annoying for fantasy last year. You guys know this. Even if you had Tariq Cohen, there were annoying weeks. You had Jordan Howard, Taylor Gabriel, Anthony Miller, Allen Robinson, Trey Burton. A lot of talent out there. Spread the ball around. I don't assume anything with Dave Montgomery. So by comparison, here's a league winner. I think Miles Sanders is a league winner. And you might go, well, Philly, backfield, that's driven us nuts. I'm not asking for a hell of a lot. I want, and I've said this before, I want Miles Sanders to get the workload that LeGarrette Blount had 2 years ago. And you might go, well, what do you mean? That was nothing special. 2 years ago for the Philadelphia Eagles, LeGarrette Blount carried the ball 173 times. That's not a massive workload. And I also think Sanders can catch the ball. So if we're talking 170 carries and somewhere in the area of 25 to 30 receptions, you have a possible top 20 running back in Miles Sanders there. Nobody in Philly is pushing Sanders for touches like Montgomery can get pushed in Chicago. Not Corey Clement, not Darren Sproles, not Josh Adams. You know, Jordan Howard might score some touchdowns, but everything I've heard on Sanders has been very strong. I think Howard was nice insurance to have for Miles Sanders, but if he's getting the job done, I think the Eagles are sticking with him. They have maybe the best offensive line in the league. I think the offense could be a top 5 offense, and I want the running back in a top 5 offense. I think that's Miles Sanders. He's my RB28. And I would say this, I would probably go get him over some guys that I have in front of him. Lamar Miller, Sony Michel, Tariq Cohen, Tevin Coleman. If he finishes a top 20 running back this year, I wouldn't be surprised. I have him for 173 carries. I have him for about 750 yards, 6 touchdowns, right in the 30 catch range. I'm in on him. That's a league winner to me. That's a guy you go get. And by the way, Miles Sanders, RB34, 86.2. 10-spot difference in running backs between Sanders and Montgomery based on positional ranking in ADP. 52.6 for Montgomery in ADP and 86.2. 86.2 for Miles Sanders is an absolute steal right now. Is David Montgomery worth taking in the 5th round? I'd rather take Miles Sanders. That's how I'd answer that question. K-Dubs, what draft position would you prefer to have in a 10-team PPR? Give me the turn. I'll take the turn in a 12-teamer. I'll take the turn in a 10-teamer. 8, 9, 10 doesn't really matter, but I'll take the turn. You have Juju and Damian Williams as keepers in rounds 4 and 12. So if you just want to take 8 to get the highest pick in a 10-teamer, K-Dubs, go ahead and do that. Keeks, Fantasy Lunch is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So right now, there's nothing really set. And legit, I got a call right before I went on about something I might be doing. I have to check in on that. I have something else I have to check in on that I have to do. So nothing is really set in stone. I would say that kind of works on schedule at home. Who's around here to help out with things as well with a baby around. So nothing's set just yet in terms of, I would say probably Monday and Friday are definitely fantasy lunch days in the preseason. The idea would be to do it 5 days a week once we get in season, and then still do some Twitch stuff on top of that. But nothing's really set yet, so just keep an eye out. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer. Thoughts on roster setting? Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 3 flex, kicker, defense, 8 bench. Austin, I would say how many teams are in that league? I hate 2 running backs and 2 receivers, even with the 3 flexes. I think you can go at least another receiver there. And I'm all for the 3 flex spots, but the fact that you don't have a tight end mentioned there, I don't even see kickers being worth it, and I know we have fun with that, the pugs and penny picking kickers. But Josh Jacobs' thoughts. I'm at 18. I hope Doug Martin doesn't drive us nuts at all. I don't think it'll happen. I have him at 18. I think he's a very solid RB2. The key to him is going to be, what does he do in the passing game? And I think he should be busy there. It sounds like he's going to cut into Jalen Richard, which is good. So I think he's a really solid RB2. Kofi, Randy Orton at SummerSlam. I kind of want to see Orton win. I think that's a cool story to tell, and I think they've done a really good job with that. Considering Orton's been on vacation, I think they've done a really good job. I think Kofi's been an excellent champion. Excellent. And I'll be the first one to say I thought he was dropping it to Owens 2 days after WrestleMania. They have hit a home run with him the whole way. I've loved everything about his run. I think you guys remember on Fantasy Lunch last year, I proposed I don't know if I'm down. Am I down? All right, guys. I can't see you, but I'll keep talking here. I saw a couple questions, so let's do this. I'll skip the wrestling stuff. Would you be surprised if Hunter Henry finishes his tight end 1-2? Yeah, I would. I like the guy, like the talent. Gotta see it first, though. I mean, for him to hop Kittle and or Kelsey, that's gonna be tough to do. And I throw Ertz in there. Here's my issue with Hunter Henry. Tyrell Williams is gone. He can pick up that target share. Mike Williams going to get some of that target share. Is there enough there, though? I mean, think about what the Chargers did. They didn't throw the ball that much last year, even if they throw it a little bit more. So I don't know if there's enough opportunity for him to jump into that high category. Who are you targeting at tight end that's not in the top 3? This is from Sean. Vance McDonald, Vance McDonald, Vance McDonald, Vance McDonald. I can't hit that one. That's a league winner guy to me again. I'm all in on Vance McDonald because I don't have to go pay for him. I have him as my number 7 tight end. That's a guy I want to go get. We're talking about an offense in Pittsburgh that is vacating a ridiculous, think about this, Pittsburgh, 24.9% of the target share is up for grabs with Antonio Brown gone. Juju at 24.6, he'll go up a little bit. But I don't have all this confidence in the world of James Washington. or Dante Moncrief. And I'm not saying they're going to throw the ball 670 times, but even if they throw it 600 times, there's a big opportunity for Vance McDonald. I thought he was a big winner of post-NFL draft where they didn't add anybody of note that's really going to affect him in a big way. Last year, he was a top 10 tight end. He had 10.7% of the target share. Jesse James is gone. Oh, you didn't know? He's now a Detroit Lion. 5.8% of the target share is gone. That's Vance for me. Those are numbers that are going to be are right there for Vance McDonald. So that's a guy, Sean, I'm going to go get. All right. I got to go figure out electricity. Thank you, guys. Stay tuned. Probably tomorrow, probably another fantasy lunch. But it could be fantasy lunch and Twitch. We'll see. I'm on Sirius 210 XM87, 8 to 10 Eastern tonight, and 6 to 8 Eastern tomorrow. So thank you for being with me. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm going to go see why I don't have electric in my house. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.